Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the next inaugural episode. I guess it's only inaugural if it's the first one, right? Like it's like the
Yeah, that's how that works.
listen. It's too early for this shit. Anyway, oh shit. No, come back. Come back, big dick thing in my face. I'm talking about my microphone. So, welcome back, everybody, to the next episode of Authors Behaving Badly. I swear to God, I almost said B&B. It's gonna happen. It will happen. Yeah, so as always, we're here to basically spill the tea and talk the shit and do all the stuff about all the author gossips and scandals. Scandals, that was the other word I was looking for yesterday. Yes, scandals.
What's your name?
I'm Zach.
Hi, Zach.
What's your name, sailor?
Your intros are now a clusterfuck. You used to have your spiel down. You have to practice.
Well, now I have to come up with like a new elevator speech for this podcast. The other one kind of had like a flow. It had some
All you have to
attitude,
do is
sass.
change out the goddamn name.
It had some sway.
You could literally just sub it out. It's the same fucking podcast.
Listen, I'm not a sub, first and foremost. That's
Oh, that is so not true.
Pillow princess over here.
Yeah.
Or pillow top. That was the phrase we invented.
Well, you're certainly no power bottom.
Aww. Anyway, welcome back to the cluster that is our podcast. As always, I'm sitting here with Miss Martina. Hi, Martina.
Hi, Zachary.
Oh, yeah, now she's okay with the names. So we are here today to talk about some fun, author scandals and other bullshittery. And today it's my turn to come up with some author shenanigans.
Yes, I am excited to see what you came up with.
You
Also
sure you don't want to go, Martina?
I'm ready to go. I've got my stuff.
So today, it's funny because when you started with yours, you kind of like, well, it's appropriate that, we went all the way back to the Marquis de Sade, right? And we're like, all right, we're going way back.
Kicking it old school.
So with me, it was funny when I found this sort of, it's not really a scandal as much as it was really a bitchy move. And I guess it could be a scandal because there's a lot of talk about what went behind it.
I'm a big fan of pettiness.
It was mad petty. I'm not going to lie there. All right. So mine comes from a personal author. I don't want to say beef of mine basically an author that I just cannot stand. Mr. George Orwell.
Oh, yeah.
Martina says unenthused and unimpressed.
No, I'm not. Orwell. I can understand why you're not a fan. Yeah. I never understood the
nerd. The curtains.
Nerd.
I like George Orwell. Nerd.
She also reads textbooks for fun.
Yeah. I feel like Ogre in Revenge of the Nerds. Nerds!
I don't know. I never really just vibed. It was a lot of words. And I'm like words, but like Anne Rice thought that he just went a little too much.
When Anne Rice was like, this motherfucker took too long.
Yeah.
That's saying something.
Because that bitch will take 7 years to describe the lace on the curtains.
It was lacy.
But not just any lace. It's Queen Anne lace. And then she's going to tell you who Queen Anne was and why she had so much lace.
Having been the person that's all, folks.
Sometimes Zach just
yabba dabba doo.
Zach just likes to go
So anyway, going into like my personal feelings behind Orwell, for those of you that don't know, my Pollock came out in high school because I read George Orwell's Animal Farm
9 times.
Yeah, because it seemed like multiple years and multiple classes had to read that fucking book for like.
And how is that George's fault?
George knew what he was writing. So it's because I'm reading it for all these fucking classes, and by the end of my high school career, I could pretty much quote verbatim that stupid fucking book, Animal Farm.
Never once did Zach think, why do I have to keep reading the same book? I've already read it.
When that was presented to me, I think in this group, I forget which one of you pointed out to me.
It was Layla.
Yeah. My earth, the world, my entire sense of being just crashed around me when she was just like, why did you just, if you already read it, you knew it, why did you keep reading it? I can't describe the dumbassery that washed upon my being.
But you can go back to the Books and Bullshit moment where he actually on air realized that.
I couldn't believe that. Anyway, so George Orwell was, for those of you that don't know George Orwell, he's
dead.
Yes, he's dead. He was a white man, obvi. So he wrote, one of the biggest works that he wrote, obviously, was Animal Farm. And George Orwell was a socialist. Blah,
Was a sociopath.
might have been a little bit. Who had a little bit more, is described as kind of like left-leaning views a little bit. Very kind of socialist, but anti-government and establishment. I mean, if you've ever read
Which
Animal
we don't
Farm,
have a problem with here.
No, not in the slightest. But the irony and twist came when the USSR. That's right. We're going commies and Orwell.
Good God.
Yeah.
And like the Nazis said, like, no, what?
You must be this high for the oven. What? They did. It was usually this high.
You're so lucky you're Polish.
I know. That's why I can crack those jokes. Literally, I love cracking those jokes so much that sometimes I'll crack such dark, like Polish, horrible jokes that people will get uncomfortable. And I'm like, but I can say that word. So it's really funny. There was one time somebody was asking me about camping. And I was like, oh, I've never been camping. And they were like, why? You lived in Maine? I've never been camping. And I was like, well, like a couple generations ago, a few of my family members went camping with some German friends, and it didn't go too well for them. So since then, we just don't camp. You might have to concentrate on that joke to get it. So
no, we get it. Nazis.
The Nazis. Listen, I'm going to set this shit up in true Orwellian fashion. Don't rush me, curtains.
He's going to reuse all 30 minutes setting up the premise and never getting to the point.
Yeah, that's how I'm going to dance around this horse shit. Well, listen, the punchline is there was obviously during the USSR and all the fun communist things, there were a lot of cabinets and different kind of things that looked at different aspects of the societies. One of the biggest ones was propaganda, right? Just like in World War II, on the joke of Nazis, propaganda was like all the shit. And Orwell was actually approached
in 2016
by what was the group? Let me pull this up real quick. The ministry specifically.
The Ministry of Magic?
No, it might as well have been. Well, obviously because it's a ministry, it's in the United Kingdom.
Of shady shit.
The ministry, the cabinet was called the Information Research Department, or the IRD, and the purpose of this entire department was to smear the Soviets for English satire and propaganda against the commies. So Orwell, being kind of big into obviously the field and what he did. Big amongst authors and other influencers and shit like that. What this motherfucker did was, rather than being all, I'm a socialist and I'm anti-government and pro-left and all that other shit, he decided to work with this group and put together a list of authors and influencers that were either pro-communist, suspected of being pro-communist, or might have pro-communism leaning views. What's being challenged by people is a lot of this shit were people that were kind of starting to give him a run for his money, other popular authors and influencers and shit like that.
So he made a kill list.
Basically, this bitch put together a list.
Deadpool, if you will.
Yes! And just started fucking cutting careers.
So it was the Salem witch trials of the USSR.
Basically. Let me see if I can get some... So like it went for journalists and other novelists.
Oh, well, that's straight out of the playbook. Like, you always go for the media.
Yeah, so where was there?
Right, Trump?
Yeah, so yeah, people that were deemed as cryptos or secret communists.
Cryptos? Like cryptids?
Fellow travelers or communist sympathizers. And outright members of the Communist Party. Orwell's involvement in the Information Research Department, this propaganda one, was veiled under the ideology of combating Stalinism at home and abroad, and received a good view of attention from in the few decades that this was running. Yeah, so this motherfucker literally just put together this entire list, just smearing and snitching on other people, that a lot of these other authors and influencers and journalists were deemed as cryptos, like, oh, they might be, they might not be. I can't even find the full list of the people that he threw into those. Okay, here we go. John Anderson, other editors like John Bevman, H.R. Carr, and there was an historian.
All people
Isaac
we don't know.
Deutscher, who wrote The Economist and The Observer.
Nobody's gonna know any of these people.
Yeah, well, I'm saying,
I'm sure there's like one dude who might be like, "Oh, this is, I know that guy."
Well, this is kind of thing. Oh, other scientists. Oh, guess who else is on the list? Charlie Chaplin was on this list.
Well, Charlie Chaplin, he was a little bit shady.
Yeah, but a lot of these people were he just threw shit all over everything. Correspondence for the New York Times.
Wasn't Charlie Chaplin a pedophile?
I don't know.
Pretty sure he like married a 13-year-old.
Did Charlie Chaplin ever write anything? Because we can focus on that motherfucker in the next episode. He did. He wrote his movies. Motherfucker, Charlie Chaplin. We're coming for Chaplin next. Well, and the funny thing is now I've actually heard historians, sidebar, obviously it's authors behaving badly, so we're going to really digress and shit. But on the note of Charlie Chaplin, supposedly, I've heard this empirically and
Stop fondling your spit guard.
His mustache was actually Hitler coined.
Did you catch the finger over the lip?
Yes.
Who are you showing his mustache to? Me and Layla?
Yes.
How do we tell that from your Hitler stash?
For those of you playing the home game, you can call in now. Our phone number is 999. So anyway, well, so apparently Hitler modeled his signature mustache off of being a huge Chaplin fan, which Hitler was a huge Chaplin fan. But
to which Chaplin was like, "Oh, don't you blame me for this."
And his movie
He's like, "I got my own problems, buddy."
Didn't Chaplin I know he did a film mocking Hitler, but wasn't it called The Dictator? He did a whole film and like this like awkward fucking like crooked salute, like really shitting all over Hitler, and I think that might have been in response to that.
I mean, I think if anybody deserves to be shit all over, it's Hitler.
I agree completely. But anyway, so
because fuck Nazis.
So yeah, so Orwell just basically ran this whole smear campaign off for smear campaign off. You guys better buckle up. There's a whole mess of Polish and Jew jokes in here. Well, according to Ancestry, I also have, Polish Jews in my family, so I can also crack Jew jokes. It's really great. I love that shit. It's really opened up a lot of horizons for me for jokes I'm allowed to crack now.
Yes, because we know how persecuted you are as a fucking straight white man.
Hey, I can throw back to merely the 40s and talk about how millions of my ancestors were slaughtered. I get a pass.
I mean, if we're being real, I'm Irish, so we've got the whole slavery thing too.
I know. We really we all do. Everybody's like white people just in history have just been shitty to everybody, including white people.
Including other white people. Yeah, they were just like, yeah, this isn't working for us. We're just going to take all these people too. We just don't have enough product. We're going to turn our own people into product too.
Look up way back in the day of what ghettos really were. Because like my grandparents grew up in the neighborhood that became a horrible, horrible neighborhood that I grew up in, where at one point ethnic ghettos of different, like this is the German block and this is the Polish block and you had Polish, German, Irish like social clubs. If you crossed the street and you were now in like the Polish or German neighborhood and they would fight you and whoop your ass. Like even like white people are just horrible.
Don't get it twisted. Like
yeah,
Africa, they had it the worst. Next to the Jews, I'd say they're pretty even. The rest of us, not so much. But I'm just saying, we were not nice people to anybody, including us.
Back to Orwell being a dick of a white guy. But can you imagine?
Speaking of white dicks who took advantage,
like he went for like I said, like editors and reviewers and columnists. Like, can you imagine the power of that shit and running a smear campaign like that shit now?
You going straight to your Amazon reviews and be like, ha ha ha! Now is my moment. 1-star reviews.
Oh my god. And that's what I really appreciate off of that in that sort of fashion when smear campaigns are used for the good of everybody. And we all know about my girl Nora and how Nora Roberts will fucking call the shit on other authors.
But the best thing about Nora is that she just waits. She just waits and then she just rides in on her white horse when she's good and ready. And she's like, oh, good. Now that you guys gotten yourself good and deep into this mess, let me come save you.
Well, and Orwell, the funny thing also that I really like about him is his hypocrisy. Socialism is very like anti-government within itself. He was very left-leaning, obviously very, very liberal. His books were about fighting the government and standing against what the structure that they represented were. But then when he was presented with an opportunity to work for the government and just gut into this one and basically make this smear ad campaign and do satire and stuff for a government agency against another government agency. It's like you just threw everything that you stood for out the window just to. Now, obviously, this could all have been legitimately to fight communism, because obviously communism people were vehemently against it for obvious reasons. But that being said, still, you can't hide from the shade that could have been within of that. This is my chance to really fuck some people up that have just stuck in my craw. But when somebody's handed that
power, I can see how, you know what they say about absolute power corrupting absolutely. Because if somebody was just like, I need you to make a list of people we're just going to completely fuck over, feel free to add anybody's name you like. It's like, oh, well, wait, I have an alphabetized list.
Well, and the fact that everybody that he threw on there, again, were celebrities, people all through the literary world, no matter what, people in the press. And it's funny, the fact that one of the categories that some of the people he accused of were categorized in were cryptos.
First thought they might be. What does that mean? I hear crypto, I think of two things.
Cryptocurrency.
And cryptids. Like Bigfoot. So now every time you say that you think somebody's a crypto, I think that they're Bigfoot. Which would be so much more interesting. It's like, oh yes, he was accused of being a Bigfoot.
So here's the other thing is what resulted from
this one. Or the Mothman.
Corresponding with the British Secret Services, and this created a formal blacklist of writers that he himself deemed cryptos, secret communists, fellow travelers, communist sympathizers, or outright of the Communist Party. So I think cryptos is like cryptic and all those other things. I think it is secretly or veiled. So I think that's where the basis of that word comes from. Because I think crypto or cryptid or whatever, that's a Greek origin, right? That's not Latin, right?
Well, cryptic just means like puzzled, like, you know, like a puzzle.
So
like
there's a secrecy to it. Yeah.
Like,
so it's not outright, but the fact that he was just like, no, these people might be secret commies, and we're like, oh, everybody's like, no, fuck them, blacklist them. And it's funny
because they're writers. You don't want to give secret commies a voice, so you gotta get rid of them writers. But
and that's like the story that
no proof required.
That won the Nobel Prize in Literature, Dr. Zhivago. He left communist Russia because it was a lot of it was viewed as anti-Russian views in that novel, under veil of night, because they said if you publish this work, you will be executed for it. And he ran to Italy, where a small publisher in Italy was like, fuck this, we don't care, fuck the Ruskies. And they published it, and then Dr. Zhivago got a Nobel Prize in Literature over it. It's the same thing.
I thought Dr. Zhivago was the name of the book.
It is Dr. Zhivago. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that book specifically.
But is that also the name of the guy who wrote it?
No, we have a copy of Dr. Zhivago. Where is it?
Because you're talking about it as if
hang on,
Zhivago was like an actual...
Keep talking, Martina. I'm stepping away from the mic. I'll find it because I see it.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know much about it. I just know that I thought that was the name of the book because I certainly was never going to fucking read it. So who wrote Dr. Zhivago?
Boris Pasternak.
Oh, Boris, of course. You're such a fucking nerd.
I got this big fucking hardback Dr. Zhivago.
Ooh, with the pages just falling out.
The world's best reading, Dr. Zhivago. Boris Pasternak. This book is a motherfucker to read, actually. It is not a pleasant read in the slightest.
None of those books were. These people were still getting paid by the word back then.
Ooh, this book is from 1958, copyrighted.
Okay, so maybe they weren't.
But anyway, but I'm saying as far as the story goes, to your point about giving authors a voice when you don't want them to, because this book was viewed as so anti-communist, the Communist Party was like, if you publish this work, because he was a renowned author in Russia at the time, we will kill you for it. So he had to escape the country.
And years later, in Russia, if you write something they don't like, they will kill you for it.
Well, yeah, I feel like they've always kind of done that.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's sort of tradition at this point.
Yeah.
People are like, hey, how did come I got away with writing that thing? Aren't you supposed to come kill me now?
In Soviet Russia, book kill you. But it's funny as we're going through that.
I feel like there's going to need to be a trigger warning on this fucking episode.
God, yes. This episode is titled Trigger Warning. Trigger Warning, Jews and Polacks.
Okay, we can't definitely not write that.
Yes. Anyway, the curtains is signed. Jesus Christ, these two. But what the fuck was I saying? Oh yeah, but it's funny as we're going through the list.
I know.
A lot of those people, like, they're attached to like the New York Times and the Washington Post, and you were like, oh, these are a bunch of people we probably never heard of. Can you imagine that this list is probably for a lot of them why they might have been like epics, and then they just got ghosted because Orwell and the actual like United Kingdom Ministry just gutted them over this shit.
I mean, it's pretty much what they tried to do 4 years ago with CNN and the Washington Post and
That's fair.
the New York Times.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had this kind of a platform, hypothetically speaking,
Who's going on the list?
Yeah. Oh, you know I was going to add. The whole point of this is to fucking name names here.
Okay, so you're asking me.
And I have a couple that I will drop too.
If I knew that they would believe me and I could just get rid of them for good, who would I go for? That's what you're asking.
Yeah. It could be alive or dead. So it could be like, going back
J.K.
to...
Rowling.
Oh, bitch, I knew you were going to say J.K. Rowling. Listen.
Sorry, she had her time to shine.
Now are we talking like to where, like my premise I just said, where like they were basically ended before they started, or current state now, she's already penned all the Harry Potter shit and we're stopping her now in her tracks and stopping her any future growth or development?
People should not be deprived of Harry Potter just because she's a turfy little twat.
Because I have literal like depressing emotional attachments to the novel. So I would say J.K. Rowling now needs to be ended. But I still want the Harry Potter. I'm surprised
she hasn't been ended. She's trying so hard to end her own career.
That's because of how much money she has. She is a literal billionaire, multi-billionaire.
Yeah, it's almost like she's like, I need to stop people liking me because they expect me to write more books and I just want to spend my money.
Would you know, here's the funny thing about that. So Sonic, the video game.
The Hedgehog?
Yes. Here's the deal.
Or the fast food chain.
Yes. So Sonic the Hedgehog. The last few games that came out, if you're a big gamer or anything like that, like Sonic Werewolf and shit like that, were so terrible. And it was because the main, I forget his name to be completely honest, and it's literally on the tip of my tongue too. The main designer that actually designed and came up with the whole premise of Sonic the Hedgehog way back in the day made it a video game. And he's obviously just completely rich. He's like the guys that made Mario. He intentionally, he intentionally started making shitty like Sonic games and writing terrible stories and terrible premise, even though Nintendo was putting them out because he wanted the fans to revolt. So then he could stop making them because his contract with Nintendo, they will never let him stop making it. It's for life. He has to. And so he intentionally was trying to kill the brand so he can retire because they won't let him.
Now that's the petty level of petty I aspire to. Because if you tell me that I'm stuck doing this for life, regardless, I'm going to be like, okay, well, you're going to get what you get. And it's going to be my worst work ever.
Can you imagine like the philosophical premise of really being hoisted by your own petard there? And like, I now have to end what I like loved and created and built because it's basically beat to death and you motherfuckers won't let me step away from it. Now I now have to kill what I built. That's depressing to think about it. But I doubt it. But I wonder if maybe that's the thing, is she's just trying to be like, people leave me the fuck alone.
I feel like if you're going to do that, though, you could find another way than attacking trans people.
I feel like if I was a multi-billionaire over...
Yeah, but I would just fake my own death.
I wouldn't even do that. If I had, like, evil villain level of funds, which she does, I would just, like, oh, no, I'm not doing it. Oh, you're going to. You see, the funny thing is I gave $100 million to this like squad of like South American hitmen, and they said that if you keep hassling me, everybody you've ever met's going to disappear. So there, and that's not actually a knock on South America. A lot of our special forces from all countries do a lot of training and shit in South America. For any of y'all that are like, shut up, that could be anybody in the world. Could somebody would have been like, oh, why South America? But it's not. That's just where all of our special forces train.
I don't think you're allowed to tell people who get upset about that to shut up.
Well, I can.
Fuck your feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that didn't take long. 2 episodes in. Thanks, Zach.
Have we ever shied away from the fact that we just talk shit to talk shit, and that's the whole premise of this whole damn thing?
Well, that was before we had so many people on our Facebook group.
That's
now I'm feeling
true.
sort of pressured. It was easy when we were talking to nobody.
Listen, we talk shit about everybody, including ourselves. None of it's meant to be personal. It's all meant to be funny. If we actually felt the way about the shit that we're talking about, we wouldn't be talking about it in public. The fact that we're saying this shit out loud means we just think it's funny.
You're saying it out loud.
But you're here. You're guilty by association.
I'm trapped here now.
That's true.
I literally am trapped on all sides.
If you flinch too hard to the left, you're going to get berated by a bunch of dog farts.
I've got a puppy pile that's like a grenade waiting to go off.
And if you flinch too hard to the right, I mean, you're still going to get attacked by farts. They're just mine.
Yeah, which is far worse. Well, maybe not far worse, but depending on whether you ate dairy or not, it can be pretty bad.
That's all. I've had nothing but coffee and fucking pizza for the last 4 days. God.
So, I think, do you have anything to wrap that up, or are we good?
No, that was just it. I thought that was so funny because of how much Orwell just ruined my literature when I was in high school, and I still wince every time I see that book.
And then you found out that he's still that he was ruining lives from the get-go?
Yes! I'm like, fucking, like, similar to your response. I'm like, of fucking course. Why would Orwell not be an absolute bitch about it?
I feel that way about a lot of authors,
and a complete hypocrite. And that's one of the reasons why I appreciate what we're doing here, but then also some of the author friends that we have that just love to talk mad shit and are all over our posts and shit. Because somebody's got to be out there keeping it real. This whole politics shit that's in the book world sometimes just absolutely boggles my mind.
All right. Okay, so
now comes the time of the day when we sign off from our careers.
And we talk about what celebrity death match we would like to fight it out.
So, Martina, you chose first yesterday.
Yes.
So, I think I'll pick the first.
No, you chose first with Dr. Seuss.
Oh, I did? Okay, so I apologize. Yeah, so you choose first this time then.
Nora Roberts.
You bitch.
Who are you going to pick to take out your girl? Your first love?
She made a man out of me.
Man.
She straight up, let's get down to business to defeat the Huns, me. You know what? I think because I feel like it's a sympathy match. Because it's like Mortal Kombat, like, finish him or her. I want to see Nora Roberts just straight fuck up J.K. Rowling.
I thought you were going to say just fuck J.K. Rowling.
I wouldn't mind that.
Well, that would have been a plot twist.
And I can see that shit in my head now, right? So, like, because Nora Roberts obviously is very, very, very old.
Actually, I think her and J.K. Rowling are probably the same age.
They're in their 50s or 60s, right? They're in their 60s, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't know. You tell me why you think that...
In my head, I see, like, that fight taking place, right? And then for some reason, J.K. Rowling, come to find out, actually has magical powers and, like, gets Nora down. And then the crowd cheers, and then out of nowhere comes a tag team match, and the immortal Anne Rice shows up, vampire powers in tow, and just finishes off J.K. Rowling.
She just comes down, she descends from the heavens.
Yep.
So
to the soundtrack of Queen of the Damned, and it's just like...
So Nora is 70.
Okay.
And J.K.
is much younger than 70.
Yeah, I think she's in her 50s. Yeah, she's 55.
Yeah. We got 2 minutes left. Okay, Martine, you got to hit them social medias up.
Oh, no. Okay. All right, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/authors-behaving-badly. You can also find us just on facebook.com/authors-behaving-badly if you just want to look up our Facebook page. You can find us on Instagram at authors_behaving_badly_podcast. Right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. You can find us on Twitter at just authors-badly.
I fucking love. Don't change it.
We're never gonna change it.
Even when we run out of the time limit to where we can't change it, leave it. But leave it
because we are definitely being authors badly. And then TikTok, we are authors behaving badly.
You can just search authors behaving badly, and it pulls it right up. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's all of it. Oh yeah, email. If you want to tell us how much we suck, you can find us at authorsbehavingbadlypodcast@gmail.com.
All right, everybody, that's it. So long, farewell.
Auf Wiedersehen, adieu.
I'll beat the thing good night. All right, later, y'all.
Bye.